Hi everyone, good evening. It's just Damian here. Today I'm going to talk about personal progression and what I would like to achieve from personal progression and what my next step of the ladder would look like, or what I want my next step of the ladder to be. Uh, I've got a few ideas, working with a few ideas and a few uh people, and I'm looking forward for the personal progression route and that kind of thing. So yeah, basically, have I had a good year? Have I had a bad year? Basically, taking taking out of the equation the court appearance this year and the anxiety that I've got with people wanting to refer me back into secondary mental health services, this has probably been the best year that I've had since living on my own. Taking out of the equation, taking out of the equation the mental health services and the court appearance. So yeah, it's been a pretty good year. It's just a little bit downheartening and downbeat where I am doing assessments for things and I'm getting offered opportunities, but then other people are telling me that they don't think that that opportunity is going to be suitable for me because because they feel like my needs two more specialists, but then let that organisation know, and that organisation then uh, then then refers me back to community mental health or thinks that my needs are mental health based. Do I believe that my needs are mental health based? Do I believe that there is issues with the mental health? Yes and no. I do have some anxiety and some anxiety relating to working with the mental health services again, and some of the flashbacks have came to light again about the past experiences that I've had with mental health services, and that is causing me some anxiety and that's scaring me. But I know that my needs are more autism based, and a lot of the struggles that I'm having are to do with the autism, like the social interaction, communication skills, and there's the gender side as well. So I would like to work with understanding more about my own autism and more my own personal development. Um, However, people are miscommuni people are misinterpreting my communication needs as behavioural, and people are misunderstanding communication needs as behavioural. This is mental health services. Mental health services are misunderstanding my communication needs as behavioural, and autism services are misunderstanding my communication needs as mental health. However, there is there is trying to find that balance between what I want and how I want it. And the doctors the doctor's hand on heart, is my doctor's surgery think that I'm making improvement and they're wanting to wean me off the appointment. So I'm like, the doctor thinks, I'm just finding it confusing because the doctor thinks that and make an improvement, but everyone else is like, we believe that your primary need is mental health. My doctor, and if you're out there watching this and you are my doctor or work at the surgery, you will have seen that my anxiety has got more intense a little bit since I found out that I was going to court or found out that I'm working with the mental health team. Other than that, it's been fine. But yeah, I've got ideas in my head that I'd like to bring out. Um, have been wanting to get back into work for a while, and I didn't want to do it when I was on employment and support allowance for a few reasons. When I have looked at opportunities in that in the past, they've fired in my face. I've been offered opportunities and done assessments, and then get told that it's not for me, and that kind of thing. And there's been cases in the past where I've been offered an apprenticeship and I got told that I'd been accidentally accepted on it when I shouldn't have been. There was an admin error, so yeah. So I had to sign back on after that. However, the big problem was with the employment and support allowance that was putting me off looking for work was the financial security side, because at the time you got paid more on employment and support allowance and as you would than you would on universal credit. So if I say got offered a job and it didn't work and then had to sign back onto benefits, I'd get put onto universal credit. However, at the time, because I've been going back onto universal credit out of my own circumstances, you will get less on universal credit. However now, since they've made it mandatory for transferring from employment and support allowance to universal credit, you'll be financially protected. So that's going to give me a little bit more flexibility on on looking for work and looking for jobs, looking for opportunities. And I do want to find work within the autism or with understanding autism or understanding mental health or understanding the gender. My biggest passion is developing the YouTube channel, developing the media, and I do like working with the media and doing opportunities on camera. So it's about trying to figure out what I want and getting getting them opportunities to connect together. So I have been looking at a few jobs within the NHS, like admin roles, but I was unsuccessful. And the problem is with a lot of the jobs and that I'm looking for, even even if it's a sales assistant job or or a, like sales assistant job or a cleaning job, for example, when I have applied for opportunities in the past, I have always failed the assessments, and on some of the assessments I'm coming out lower than what my certificates are in the maths and English. However, the problem is that nowhere is prepared to do the essential skills training with me because I'm coming out at a level below what my certificate is. So I'm finding that hard, and I'm finding it hard as well, looking for jobs, looking for opportunities. I was put on a waiting list for the Royal Mail for postman's job a few years ago. However, I was put on the waiting list, but you were only on the waiting list so long. However, after that, opportunities did come up again, and I failed the assessment. There was no assessment on the first time, and I failed the assessment. I think there's not mentioning any names, but I know of people before that have been offered jobs temporary, and they've gone for the they've passed the assessment the first time and had a job with that company, but then when the company's looking again for work or opportunities, have done the assessment again but failed the assessment, even though they've worked there before, they failed the assessment. So it's I know that assessments and that are going to be hard, and I know that assessments and that are going to be hard. I know that people have told me before that I'm not trying hard enough for a job. I need to apply for jobs that I'm overqualified for. But with me, with my autism and with my certificates that I've got, most 99.9% of the jobs I'm not I'm not qualified for. There's no jobs out there basically that I am overqualified for. So I'm failing. I've failed the assessments for Aldi. I failed the assessments for Asda, and you're not allowed to reapply back for over a year. So yeah, I've got some ideas that I'd like to do. I would like to work with the media industry, with the LGBTQIA industry, and autism and that kind of thing. And I am going to, once the transfer to Universal Credit is all done, all sorted, I'm going to look into that. I was told with being on Universal Credit that there'll be more support available. However, I got a phone call a couple of weeks ago. I was in town and I got a phone call from the job centre, and they stated that they thought that I was open to social services and that social services were being supportive. So I'm like, I'm not with social services anymore, and they were more concerned about referring me back into social services. So I'm just finding it hard at the moment, where I'm where a lot of people are pushing me back to different people. Like, no one wants to take responsibility. No one understands the autism. No one understands the path that I want to go down. For example, when I was open to when I've had safety plans, I was going to say something else there, but it was going to be incorrect. So when I've had safety plans done in the past and safety plans brought in, risk assessments brought in, it says that I need to ring the crisis team for this, I need to ring this organisation for that. So, so I have been looking at this and looking at that path, looking at this, looking at that. In September last year, I'd rang the crisis team as stated on my safety plan. They were like, we don't deal with this kind of mental health, you have to go to the police, or passed on between one person to another. So I then rang another organisation for support, and I got arrested for misuse of the police number and malicious communication. So then I've put complaints in about certain things and like plans not getting followed properly, but responses I get back are safe plans and guidelines recommendations only, and having mental health issues doesn't negate you from being criminally responsible. So there is ideas that I'm wanting to bring out and share with other people. There's stuff that's getting offered to me or people are trying to bring in, what I know that hasn't worked in the past, and I know that that's going to cause more problems down the line than others. I have wanted to do, or I do want to do, I have seen courses at my local college that does mental health awareness, autism awareness, and being safe online and that kind of thing. I got offered a start date last year, and they rang me a couple of days before that to see if they could put the correct support available in place. And they were like, they were like, uh, we'll get back in touch with you. So I hadn't heard anything back. I'd reapplied for some courses back end of last year, hadn't heard anything back. Rang back earlier in the year and said they'd get someone to ring me back. No one had rang back. I then rang later on this year, and I got told I'd that there'd been a management decision at the college and that they weren't going to allow me to go back. And I'm like, they weren't going to allow me to go back, and they wouldn't explain why. And I'd rang, I'd rang learning support, and that that time as well, because I wanted to see what learning support could offer. But but learning support were like, learning support and that were like, we'll meet you at 3, but then I got a phone call at 10 to 3 to state that my appointment had been cancelled, and that management wouldn't allow me to go back to the college. I asked why, and he just got a bit abrupt and a bit firm, and like he didn't know why, and management had made a decision on me, so I can't really go back to college. I don't really want to do online courses and that, because I struggle to do online courses, and that kind of thing. I'd rather be in a classroom environment and doing this, doing that. So yeah, I don't know how people like my aunt enjoy working at home, because I struggle with doing stuff like that. So yeah, and then another problem is that I'm having is when I'm doing risk assessments, my needs too high risk, too complex, too specialist, and I'm like, the problems that they're relating it to do with self harm risks, overdose risks. It will be 2 year on the 20th of June since I was last admitted to hospital for self harm or overdosing. Hand on heart, I haven't overdosed since then, and I'm feeling a lot better about things, and I'm on a journey path what I'm enjoying. So yeah, so there's all that. How would I like to go on? As I say, I want to do a little bit more media. I want to do a little bit more understanding about autism, gender and sexuality, and the things that drive me passion. I would also like to start dating. I am, as I say, attracted to cis women and transgender women. However, people state that because my profile states that I like transgender women, or that I say that I like transgender women, it's targeting transgender women and transgender individuals. However, my stance on it is, if you're targeting transgender women because you're attracted to transgender women, why does no one say to people that they're targeting men if the profile says that they're looking for men? Why don't they say that they're targeting women if the profile says they're looking for women? So it's still targeting that specific person, that specific age range. Like if someone's profile says that they're looking for someone between 20 and 30, and they targeting that specific age group. So yeah, it's what you could say that it is targeting that target audience, and your target audience is this, is that. But why do they only say that you're targeting transgender women when you say that you're interested in transgender women? It's just a bit confusing. But yeah, I find that I have more in common with transgender individuals because of the path that I want to go down, and because of find that we've got more in common, more this, more that. So I also am attracted to cis women, but yeah, I know who I like and why. But yeah, it's just about getting out now, enjoying myself, being the best person that I can be, being Danielle, being Damian, being this, being that, but enjoying the journey and enjoying the destination. The stuff with the mental health services is making me anxious again, but but I don't really want to do it with them. That's why it's making me anxious. And then the doctors are really pleased with my progression. So things are a little bit difficult. Things are a little bit up in the air, but it's about slowing myself down and doing what I want rather than other people. But I don't really want to let anyone down. I know that whatever decision that I make with mental health care, with understanding my own sexuality or gender, it's gonna upset at least one person or one organisation. So I just need to take a couple of steps back to move forward. But I've got things to look forward to anyway. So yeah, thank you. Bye.